Alright. I decided that I'll probably be doing KOTOR 2 in the day as much as possible. And starting on a visual novel at night. Because this is easier to just pause, save, and continue another time compared to a game like KOTOR 2. So,
視線が空から降ってくる。その瞳はいつも僕を見つめていて、眼差しは熱くて真っ黒な雨雲を突き抜けて、雨のように僕へと降り注ぐ。
this fucking moth, though. Well, I'm pretty sure I hit the moth, but anyway.
僕を見るな。雨の冷たさより背中を預けている瓦礫の冷たさのせいで、さっきから体の震えが止まらない。ひどく寒い。突き刺さってくる誰のものかもわからない天からの視線。それから逃げるように僕はわずかに首を持ち上げて周囲を見回す。そこにあるのは崩壊した街。そこにあるのは絶望。
Now,
そこにあるのは死。そこにあるのは無。誰もいない。誰も動いていない。誰も生きていない。聞こえるのはただ降り続ける雨の音だけ。このまま全てを、生きているものも死んでいるものも、全てを優しく包み込んで洗い流してしまうんだろうか。全部の出来事が単なる妄想だったらよかったんだけど、どうやらそうでもないらしい。体が動かない。動かせるのはかろうじて首と瞳だけ。体が震えているけど、そんなのただの生理現象でしかない。僕の意志じゃない。僕は身を震わせたいなんて思ってない。僕の自由にならないなら、こんなの僕の体じゃない。あるいは生まれた時から僕は自由なんかじゃなかったかもしれない。心の保管してある場所なんて誰にもわからないんだ。それなのに、一体誰がこの体の中に僕の心があるって言い切れるんだ。でも、だったら僕はどこにいたんだろう。僕はここにいるのかな。僕はどこにもいないのかな。全てが静止している壊れてしまった世界に、ふと死の雨以外の音が。 響く。無の中から浮かび上がってくるたった一つの優。君は誰？
あ、
その肌が青白く見えるのは雨の冷たさに凍えているから？それとも君がもう死んでいるから？
うん。
でも彼女は震えていなかった。そして前髪で隠れそうになっているその瞳は僕を見るな。ひどく悲しそうにも見える。狂気じみているようにも見える。何も映していないようにも見える。もしも世界には僕と彼女の二人だけしかいなくて、こうしてお互いだけを永遠に見つめ合っていたら、僕の世界は彼女の瞳に映るものだけになるのかな。彼女の世界は僕の瞳に映るものだけになるのかな。彼女の瞳に映るものは僕の瞳に映るものは彼女。そう考えると世界は途端に矮小化する。
ね
不意に僕の耳に届くとても綺麗なノイズ。彼女はうなだれて両手を左右に広げる。まるであの雨雲の上へ向けて飛び立とうとするかのように、あるいはこの雨すべてを受け止めようとするかのように。
あ、
あなたの見つめ
うなだれた彼女の表情は僕の位置からも伺い知ることができない。雨の薄膜の向こうで君はどんな顔をしている？
殺してあげる。
天使。乱舞する光の羽は僕を祝福しているのか、それとも、ああ、そうか。理解したよ。それで僕を殺してくれるんだね。ゆっくりと倒れている僕の前に彼女が膝をつく。いまだに彼女はうなだれたまま。僕の頭をそっと抱えてくる。僕を見てくれないことに僕はほっとしてただ身を委ねた。耳元でささやき、綺麗なノイズ。でもよく聞こえない。暖かくて柔らかくて優しくて甘美な感触。それは麻酔のようで、不思議なことに体の震えがゆっくりと収まっていく。彼女のかすかな鼻息が僕の頬をくすぐる。とても甘い匂い。ふと
come on.
胸に圧迫感を覚えた。彼女の持っていた大きな剣が僕の胸の皮膚を裂き、肉をえぐり、骨の間を縫い、ゆっ
Well,
くりと体の中に沈み込んできている。でも彼女のキスという麻酔にかけられてもう痛みを感じない。 こんなにも優しく殺してくれるから、不意に切なくなって、涙が溢れそうになって、それをごまかすために、彼女の頭越しに雨を落とし続けている鈍色の空を見上げた。空が滲んでいるのは、雨のせい、涙のせい。もう、あの視線も感じない。もう、何もない。薄れゆく意識の中で、僕は空へと手を伸ばす。誰か、教えて。僕たちのあの空は、どこへ行ったんだろ
うん。あ。Copyright, but I don't care. Wow. Alright. So, I've been planning on going through this series for a long while. I never got the chance because, well, couldn't see the games. Because, well, I had just haven't had the, drive to go through visual novels on stream. I was thinking about it for so long, but it's just a lot of reading. Thankfully, the science adventure visual novels are mostly voice acted, aside from things like this. Very few things. That's fine by me. And there are choices, and I will be just going through them in a kind of predetermined order. All the choices, so, because I want to see everything. So, yeah. Now, I do have the Committee of Zero patches installed on pretty much every single one of them, except for Science Gate. Science Gate, I will not be going through yet. So after I get through this visual novel, I'll be waiting for the reboot of Science Gate, because apparently that should be coming out this year. So, yeah. So I do plan on going through these in release-ish order. So this game, so this one, then Science Gate, then what else? Then what is the next one again? And the next one would be Robotics Notes. Okay. Robotics Notes. Chaos Child. Now, Occultic 9, I wish I could, but it's not really available. So, after Cast Out, it would be Science Gate 0. I love that one, too. I love Science Gate 0, so... It's just that the other ones I have never really gone through in their entirety. Because time travel is more interesting to me. So, anyway. Yeah. Let's continue. I couldn't see it, even though it was watching me. It was strange. For as long as I could remember, I sometimes felt like I was being watched by some mysterious gaze. Or gaze? No. So I had to get that in there because of my interest in Project Moon. But, no. It's not a reference to anything like that. But whenever I turned to look, there was never anyone there. So I was convinced that someone was watching me. I could tell by the chills that ran down my neck. Was I just being too self-conscious? Or did I just have a fear of being watched? Way back in elementary school, I'd thought of it differently. That gaze is God watching over me. And I genuinely believed it, too. I'd even written an essay about it back then. In retrospect, I must have just had a bad case of Chinibyo. But now, it hurt just thinking about it. If anyone were to read it now, I'd probably shut myself away from society for the rest of my life. I can still remember the title of that essay. Whose eyes are those eyes? By Nishijo Takumi. My chair groaned hoarsely as I leaned back.
僕を見るな。
I muttered that toward that gloomy ceiling, irritated. Naturally, there was no response. Hold on, there's gotta be a way to... No. This was my room. I lived here alone. Aside from me, of course, there was a single person here. I tried turning around. My room was dim and cluttered with various belongings stacked all the way to the ceiling. The only source of light in the room was the desk lamp near my PC. There weren't any windows, so the darkness should come as no surprise. And since you couldn't see outside, you couldn't even tell whether it was night or day. And an MMO right here, or whatever, if I remember right. If I can tell. But anyway. I started speaking into the dark corners of my room.
僕の名前は西條匠。17歳。水明学園2年。と言っても学校にはほとんど行ってないけど。まあそれでも勉強はできる方だよ。定期テストはちゃんと受けてる。しかもそれなりに上位の点数を取ってるからね。頭はいいんだ。
It wasn't like talking to myself would accomplish anything. It wasn't like anyone was gonna show up out of nowhere. The darkness just kept on sitting there and being darkness. Still, darkness was illusion fuel. After all, the unseen might as well be the unknown. In the darkness, even if you knew that it was impossible, you couldn't help but wonder if something might be there, lurking in the shadows. Damn it, this wasn't helping. I was only making my own creepy delusions worse. Why did I do this to myself? To get off the topic, I decided to keep monologuing.
僕は現在アウェイじゃなかった。渋谷で一人暮らしをしてる。この紅会館ビルは父さんの経営するビル会社の管理下にあるんだけど。
Oh.
その屋上に設置されたコンテナハウスを格安で借りてるんだ。
ああ。
街の環境は最悪。僕が住んでる新船町は小さな坂が多いから疲れるし、すぐ近くにラブホ街もあるし。ここが秋葉なら最高だったのに。ほんと渋谷ってひどい街だ。円数で言うとディーンズバレーくらいひどい。
Yep. ESO was the name of an MMORPG that was basically my life. Its full title was Empire Sweeper Online. I had to dive into base lard, that's the word of ESO, pretty much every day at this point. Sacrificing sleep in the process, of course. Dean's Valley was the region in ESO that was full of annoying mobs. They hit super hard and yet they couldn't even be bothered to drop any decent loot. Only idiots went there to grind. Every vet worth his shit would go to the forest of lid. Whatever. Instead, it was a much better place to grind and was right nearby. Of course, that was where I went.
というわけでドキュンと恋愛資本主義者が集まるこんな街は即刻滅ぶべきだね。
Dokyun. Used to refer to people who are stupid, antisocial, or delinquents. Aww. Oh. A role-playing game in which an unspecified number of players connect to a game world established on an online server and play simultaneously. Chunibyo. Literally, it's a grade syndrome, a term referring to a mindset exhibited primarily by adolescent males. Also used as a derogatory term to refer to older people who still exhibit this mindset. Characterized by an affected attitude of nihilism or cynicism, antisocial behavior, fantastical delusions, and or a consuming fear of being treated as a child. The person exhibiting these symptoms believes that they are cool, but most adults will find it comical. Chunibyo, which is often abbreviated as Chuni, it also refers to the fictional tropes that teenage males tend to enjoy, such as ancient conspiracies, superpowers, especially powers sealed in a character's eye or arm, Norse mythology, battles for the fate of the multiverse, etc. The consummate Chunibyo case will work such elements into their own personal backstory.
でもこの部屋の住み心地はまあまあ我慢できるレベル。
Okay, how the hell do I... Illusion triggers Z. Auto mode is F3. Okay.
PC とネット環境は最高水準クラスが揃ってるからね。
Okay. Okay.
まあ学生にしては上等の騎士じゃないかな。あ、だから僕はこの部屋のことをベースって呼んでる。
As always, there wasn't a single living creature in here except me. Realizing how ridiculous I sounded talking to myself like this, I decided to stop introducing myself to whoever was watching me.
それにしても汚い部屋だな。
The whole room reeked of rot. I could feel the stagnating air crawling on my skin. Empty soda bottles and boxed lunches from the convenience store were scattered all over the floor. 2-liter bottle, too. Also, my bed was covered in piles and piles of arrogay. Thanks to that, I always slept on the couch instead. Is there a button for tips? Yes, there is. F4. +8 video games that have been popular ever since the late 1980s. Featured mainly on PC, while they may be referred to as video games, the gameplay primarily consists of reading text, like right here. Well, this is not an error game, so I'm safe. So I'm safe, especially on Twitch. I mean, there are a few suggestive images and all. Namely of that poster that was being friggin' shown. And that was in view for a while there. But that's not safe for work. So it's fine. The game, okay, the text is often accompanied by character sprites, backgrounds, as well as special illustrations known as CGs, aka computer graphics. The genre involves the player growing closer to the main heroines and experiencing sexual events with them over the course of the story. These events occasionally include subjects such as coercion or even rape. Of course. Yes. Despite the adult content of the source material, several anime have been made based on these games, many of which have established a cult following. Naruhodo?
片付けろよな。誰だよ散らかしっぱなしにしたのは。って僕か。
The fuck is that? I hate that laugh. Fed up with my own creepy laugh, I took out my frustration on a plastic bottle lying by my feet. Not by my foot. Understandable. Holy shit, it's bouncy. The bottle ricocheted off the wall and flew straight toward my shelf of perfectly organized figures. The shriek I leapt out of my chair to catch it. I've never let anyone lay a finger on any of my 100-ish waifus, daughters, and older sisters. These girls were my darlings. Just looking at them soothed my aching heart. I made sure to tidy up their shelf once a week. It was the only place in the room I ever cleaned. Bro, you should clean more. Anyway. No, that's not who I was thinking. I was always looking for the best ways to display their cuteness. I would constantly rotate and reposition them, trying to recreate the ultimate layout. Naturally, if I let them get dusty, then the whole thing would be ruined. So I always made sure to clean them regularly. Why is this not capturing the cursor? Ah, there we go. Hmm. It is being stupid is what it is what it's doing. I mean, could instead go to this window and then ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-bo. And it's still being a little stupid. Oh, there we go. That's better. Alright, let's do that then. Whoa. Breathing a sigh of relief, I tossed the bottle aside and turned back to my PC. Oh, not uh-oh. What? There we go. Solved the issue. I kept my beloved PC enshrined at the back end of my room. Next to my monitor was Serotan, on a scale, a free awakening version, a figure from my current favorite anime, Bloodtoon, the animation. The Japanese employ is a system of name suffixes that define the speaker's relationship to the addressee. The common honorifics are as follows. San, the most common honorific, used with strangers, people with equal status, and in general whenever one needs to be polite. When used after the given name, it indicates a closer relationship. Kun, an informal name suffix generally used for male friends or male subordinates, also used by males toward female subordinates in professional environments. Chan, a diminutive suffix that indicates high affection, usually used for small children, young girls, or between close female friends. Chan, an even more diminutive version of the Chan suffix, most often used for fictional characters, especially anthropomorphizations, for added cuteness. Ting, yet another diminutive version of the Chan suffix, most often used by young girls. It is a more cutesy way to refer to friends. Sera Orgel, the lead heroine of the fictional, obviously, because it's only it is an in-universe thing of the anime. Bloodtoon, the animation, her signature catchphrase is "Ya big dum dum." Sarah was what one might call a tsundere childhood friend type character. She is 17 years old and a second-year student at Meteor Academy. She can transform into a magical girl using the power of Star, and she is accompanied by her mysterious familiar called Something. As is typical of a magical girl, she wields a magical staff she calls Samurai Condenser. So despite it being referred to as a staff, its appearance is far too brutal for it to truly be considered such. In reality, it is very clearly a giant metal rod. Sarah will also use her staff for physical attacks on occasion, or to put it bluntly, she beats her enemies to a bloody pulp with it. Bloodtoon was originally a manga, but it recently received an anime adaptation. The anime is currently airing, with a total of 26 episodes planned. She sat there, striking a moe pose and smiling at me. Hey. Moe. In otaku culture, it refers to feelings of affection, adoration, or excitement toward characters, typically female. Manga, anime, video games, and other media, also used to describe particular character traits, including flaws like glasses, clumsiness, or ditziness. The term is often used interchangeably with the word cute, or even as a verb. For example, I moed over for like an hour. Also used to refer to the culture of entertainment centered around things that are moe. Such media has become so popular that the term has entered the lexicon of otaku not only in Japan, but across the world.
Sarah, かわいいよ、セーラー。
Staring longingly into Seraton's eyes, I grabbed a nearby bottle of Coca-Cola and took a sip. It was lukewarm, but I didn't care.
さてと、演すらないと。
I sat back down and plopped my hands onto the keyboard, just assuming the position made me feel relaxed. My character in ESO, Nightheart, was a paladin. I'd already leveled him up to the max and reset twice. Right now, he was back to the max level 50. That was the highest rank you could reach on official servers. Paladin. One of the classes a player can choose in ESO. It is characterized by its high defense, ability to use recovery magic despite being a warrior class, and its high resistance to the darkness attribute. However, players cannot change this class unless they fulfill very specific requirements. It's said to currently be the strongest class in ESO. ESO players far and wide knew me as lightning fast Nightheart. They treated me like a god. I already had all the rare weapons, armor, and magic. I still only had 95% of the total rare items, but whatever. We're still a work in progress. Naruto. I had so much gold that I didn't even know what to do with it. Aside from RMT, real money trading, which I made a living off of. Even if I stopped grinding right now, I'd still have enough to keep living like this for half a year. And the act of exchanging fictional items that appear in MMORPGs and other online games for real currency. This is only possible in games that contain a system that allows for the exchange of items. There are many common issues present in the RMT communities, especially frauds, so the practice has its pros and cons. Aside from just ESO stuff, I was particularly adept at chatting online. It was the only source of social interaction I ever got, after all. I gave advice on the huge anonymous forum at channel. I posted in epic threads too, of course. Oh yeah, and I had over 100 friends on the Freepara, a social network I used. Social networking services, also known as social networks, are community-oriented websites that come in a variety of formats, such as registration-based, invite-only, and more. Websites such as these are designed to facilitate easy communication between users. Wow. Respect. Trust. I had it all right here. I didn't go to school. It wasn't so much that I didn't want to, more that I had no reason to. I could study anything online. School is completely useless when you can get everything done from home. Well, I did need to attend every once in a while, or else I wouldn't earn enough credits to graduate. That's why I went to school as little as I possibly could. That was the smartest way for a student to live. My parents always nagged at me about it, though. To make things easier, I'd invented the minimum attendance chart. According to the chart, I only needed to attend 2 to 3 times a week. The other students would always make fun of me for being an otaku freak, but as far as I was concerned, they were the stupid ones for going to school every day. Maybe try thinking for yourself for once, dipshits. All in all, my life here really isn't all that bad. Oh, whoops, I've been so busy thinking about the gays, I forgot I was in the middle of chatting with Grim. Grim was the handle of one of my ESO friends. I talk to him all the time online, although I'd never met him IRL. An alias used by someone on an online service, AAK. Sleep at keyboard. Used when someone has fallen asleep or become unresponsive while logged into a game or chat room. The right term is AFK, meaning away from keyboard. Or the Japanese word for fanatic, nerd, enthusiast, or hobbyist. An all-encompassing term for someone with an obsessive interest in a particular topic. Most often refers to fans of anime, manga, and video games, but there are also trained otaku, military otaku, electronics otaku, etc. While the word may have held negative connotations in the past, it has become far less negative over time, with many otaku reclaiming the term as a badge of honor. He had a keen eye for useful information, so I could generally rely on him to keep me in the loop. I sat back down and started typing out a response. You're Nightheart. You okay? Or you're not replying? You okay or something? Nah, I didn't fall asleep. I just zoned out for a sec. Well, guess you must be really tired. You're not getting enough sleep? You just stay up late doing the dirty with your girlfriend. Well, up all night every night. Come on, you know I'm not into 3D. Oh, the two of us chatted about all sorts of things. And since it was all anonymous, I was comfortable with talking about pretty much anything. I never act like this IRL, obviously. Alright, you like 2D. By 2D I mean... heh, okay? What is up with you and loot shit? I mean, you're the guy that has pointy delusions all the time. We're just going on and on about girls in school swimsuits, remember? Swimsuit designated for school purposes, or worn primarily in physical education classes or at elementary school, middle school, and high school. This circumstance, however, is referring specifically to those worn by women. The school swimsuits may be further classified according to type and color and type. Even now, a fierce debate rages on between enthusiasts about whether or not competition swimsuits should be considered school swimsuits. Was? I definitely don't remember that. Anyway. That's what we were talking about, and here's my take on it. School swimsuit plus glasses equals perfection. Huh? 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 There's a choice here? The fuck? Does this thing even freaking matter? I don't think it does, but hey. It doesn't really matter. It's not a real school swimsuit unless there's a name tag on the chest. Oh. Hmm. See playing an anime. Ah! At full throttle today. That's what makes you you, Nightheart. That's why we love you. We definitely don't admire you. And let's see, one has toward a certain interest, mainly is referred to with the fetishistic characteristics that one finds attractive in a sexual partner. For example, if a person is attracted specifically to women who wear glasses, or if they're attracted specifically to clumsy or to otherwise hitsy girls, that is their type. At the same time, however, those who possess such fetishistic characteristics can also be referred to using type. An example of this would be an older woman with a calm personality being referred to as a calm older sister type, or a woman who looks young in comparison to her age being referred to as a lolly type. Default. Initial state. It's used in general conversation to mean the norm, or the way it is. Wait, go back. What do you mean that's what makes you you? I mean, yeah, I guess I went a bit crazy there. But I'm still trying to maintain a cool image for myself here. You? Cool! What are you laughing at? Anyway, what were we talking about before I went to AFK? It was probably just something to do with ESO. You seriously forget? There was an incident IRL recently. Incident IRL. I remembered something like that, but what was it? Hey, greetings, Lord Shogun. Sup? I introduced myself, but there was no reply from the user named Shogun. What was up with that? Was he ignoring me? And I was busy being so friendly to him, too. But, holy shit. Actually, yeah. I'm interested in why the max thing can only be that one. The fuck does this mean? I was being so friendly to him too. Did you know who he was talking to? Well, if you know him, the lightning fast Nightheart. Lurking wasn't even allowed here. Well, whatever. Might as well just ignore him. Guess that was another great thing about the internet. There was no need to worry about pointless etiquette. And what were you saying, Grim? I was talking about those cases that have been all over the news lately. Like I know what's having IRL. Probably something stupid, right? Pretty much, yeah. Should be shocking, though. Shocking. Must have been some real grisly murder, then. There's been a few here and there recently. But can't handle a little gore, Nightheart? Well, not gonna send me gore again, are you? I mean, there's nothing I can't handle. So I really didn't want to see it. Lately, though, it hadn't been easy to avoid that kind of stuff. People were always trying to trick others into clicking on nasty stuff. A gore, or some kind of creepy edit. Once you fell for it, you couldn't unsee it.
まあ少しは目が慣れてきちゃってるのかも。
They call you the greatest paladin in all of Baystar, lol. I know PK, though. PK stands for player kill. In other words, it's when you go around MMOs killing randos and stealing their golden gear. So, typically joking stuff. I'm no troll, and I don't stoop to their level either. Nah, and just in general, I try to avoid breaking ESO's rules. It goes against my policy. except for the rules that prohibited RNT. I broke those all the time. Let's make a quick save. No, well, I could make a full save. Let's do... Yes. I did that. Properties, enable seam overlay, no, disable that. There we go. Now should be better. And start the game. Continue. Load. Oh, calm your tits there, almighty hero Lamau. So I'm sure you've heard of New Gen, right? Heard what? New Gen? What was that? Did you ever mention it before? Grim was something like I should have already known about it. The hell is New Gen? New Generation Madness. People call it New Gen online. It's a name for the mysterious set of incidents happening in Shibuya. It's all up in your neighborhood. Cool. Oh, now that you mentioned it, I did feel like I'd heard about it somewhere. Oh, I knew was that they existed. I hadn't looked into them at all. I tried googling New Gen and somebody got a few results.
この1ヶ月の間に渋谷で発生した2つの事件のことをニュージェネと呼ぶ。その犠牲者は胎児を含めて7人。1つ目の事件は友人同士5人による高層ビルからの集団ダイブ。2つ目の事件では男性の体内から胎児が出てきた。
What the hell?
これマジかよ。
A chill ran down my spine. Before I'd even realized it, I turned around and was looking around my room again. There were a bunch of results for New Gen on Taboo. Or... obviously Yahoo. News. So I went to skim through them. New Generation Madness. The incidents that had the entire internet in an uproar. There had been two of them so far. One of them was so brutal, several TV channels didn't even describe the crime out loud. The first incident, the group dive, had been initially thought to be a suicide, but rumors had since risen that it may not have been. Parents and friends of the 5 victims all said the same thing. None of the victims had shown any plans of planning to commit suicide. They hadn't had any reason to do so either. On top of that, some physical evidence had been found too. Have a quick look. Oh, something out of a creepypasta, right? You shit yourself yet? Not really. I don't care, TBH. Let's take a look at this, though. I wouldn't click that link. What is it? A picture of those victims' corpses.
僕をバカにして楽しんでるな。
At least said it straight out. Okay. It did sound like this from time to time. But if I wanted to keep up my reputation as great, not heart of base lord, I couldn't let it faze me. Unlike in the real world, I was a god in the world of ESO. I was the strongest, wisest, and most noble knight in all the land. Mocking me would be a fool's errand. And so, gathering up whatever courage I had, I clicked the link. Ha! Oh, this is some shady doodle. Wow, I got baited. Who did this? Ha ha ha. I did it in like 2 minutes. Ha! Now the god of art finally shows himself to us mortals. Anyway, not gonna lie. I'm dead tired, so I think I'm gonna go pass out. Good night. See you tomorrow in that base lord. Kind of thing of it, that Shogun guy had been here the whole time. I completely forgot about him. Not that I cared though. Well, I don't really feel like sleeping yet, so I guess I'll farm in the ESO for a bit. Wait, no, the new episode of Religion comes out today. I didn't have the TV in my room, so I just made it do with my PC.
あと15分ぐらいか。その前にトイレでも行っておこうかな。
I took a quick look at Sarah next to my monitor. I don't get to see Sarah a ton today. So wait. With that in my mind, I made my way over to the closed chat window. Hi?
あれ
Hi? Hi? Nani? Shogun had sent a message.
なんだよこいつ急に。
See, it wasn't just a lurker. Judging by the file extension, it looked like an image link. Some link posted by a suspicious stranger that hadn't sent a single message until now. I gulped instinctively. I couldn't explain why, but I had a bad feeling about it. A feeling unlike anything I'd ever felt in all my time on the internet. I really didn't want to click it. I clicked my tongue and glanced at the clock. My rendezvous with Sarah time was in 12 minutes. I should probably get this conversation over with quickly. I mean, I wouldn't click it. A random person you don't know posting a link? Ah. I had to go. I just leave. Well, what kind of bait and switch is this, Lama? Die Welt ändert sich, wenn du darauf. I don't know German. I'm butchering the German translation for sure. Oh, what's with the German law? I was trying my best to act calm and casual. To be honest, I really don't want to chat with a shady guy like this. I was so uncomfortable that I could feel a cold sweat forming. I was saying something like, the world changes if you click it. Seriously, what was his deal? And if the guy only spoke German, I definitely wouldn't be able to deal with him. Sorry for startling you. Ah, so you could actually speak normally. Relax a little bit. Alright, you're fine. Any reason for lurking? So did someone give you the you need to lurk for 6 months before posting spiel? I was thinking. By the way, where are you joining from? For some reason, there was a short pause. Shibuya. Aww. All at once, images of those gruesome Nugent incidents flashed through my head. Even though I hadn't actually seen any photos, I could picture them so vividly that it was almost like I'd been there myself. The man's torn up stomach, the lifeless fetus shoved inside. The 5 people that dove off the building, instantly turning into a pulpy inhuman puddle upon hitting the ground. Just thinking about it was almost enough to make me puke. I shook my head violently as if to shake the gruesome delusion out of my head. This Shogun guy was so suspicious I couldn't stop the paranoid delusions from forming. What was he trying to drag me into? Same here. Looks like a lot of weird incidents have been happening lately, huh? Or coming. Chibi is so scary. Huh? Huh? Was this Shogun guy some kind of Denpa no job? Actor speaking in a way that is commonly regarded as incoherent, nonsensical, or disconnected from the world around them. The term comes from the Japanese word for Denpa, which translates literally to electromagnetic waves. This is because people in this category often believe that they are hearing voices, thoughts, or instructions in their head via electromagnetic radiation. A type of media in which a person is baited into believing that what they see will be one thing, only for it to be swiftly switched out for something else. The most popular form of bait and switch takes is when an internet user believes they are clicking a link to something they're looking for, only for it to lead to something wholly undesirable. These can involve any number of things, from jump scares, shock sites, and, most often associated with the term, videos used to prank the user in a made-you-look style of fashion. When exposed to enough of bait and switch type media, the user may come to suspect anything and everything that they come across, and in some cases, they may even be too suspicious to take any action at all, and therefore leave the link entirely alone. Shit. They're talking about me. Then again, I investigate first. I investigate a suspicious looking link first, before I click it. Anyway. I'd never seen that formula before in my life. When you were as smart as me, that was saying something. I tried looking it up in this day and age. There was all sorts of information on the internet. It'd be easy to find.
あれ、ヒットしないな。
Aw. Was he trying to act smart by typing some nonsense formula? What if I knew? That formula has killed this world's possibilities. What are you trying to say? What is that link from earlier? Should I just take the bait already? I thought it might interest you. What? Holy shit, it's a series of links. Oh my god. All of a sudden, the chat was flooded with links. Just who was this guy? Was he just trying to scare me for shits and giggles? Maybe he was a friend of Grimm's and they teamed up to mess with me. Feeling the gaze again, I took a look around the room. But surprise, surprise, all that was behind me was darkness and clutter. As per usual, I was hit with an unnatural sense of dread. The feeling of perpetually being watched left me feeling restless.
僕を見るな。
And upon saying that, I realized that my voice was trembling. It was almost like the cluttered room I knew so well had transformed into someplace completely foreign. If you've ever had to go to the bathroom at night after watching a horror movie, listening to a ghost story or something, you may know the feeling of being unnerved or even terrified by the dark hallways of your own home. Not anymore. That was close to how I felt right now. I used to, but not anymore. In spite of my shuddering, I faced the monitor, leaned in, and before I knew it, with the slightest switch of my index finger, I clicked one of the links. Uh-oh. Whoa! Holy shit. That guy's eye was out of his socket. I really had no clue how it happened. It wasn't like my hand had been possessed by some unnatural force or something. Just sort of done it without thinking. Even though I knew full well that it'd be a mistake, I clicked it as if it were the most unnatural thing in the world.
なんだよこれ。
The image that filled my monitor looked like some kind of modern art piece. An arrangement of spikes like the quills of a hedgehog or pins in a pincushion, protruded from the wall in the shape of a cross. Below it, a puddle of dark red. And in front of it, well, there are small pieces of something scattered across the ground like garbage. Seriously, what even was this? The work of some pretentious avant-garde artists? Those sorts of idiots were all over the workplace. They'd make gory stuff like this and spout some bullshit like depicts the lead in chaos often laid bare in this cruel world. No way in hell I'd even ever consider that shit art. So, what a weird image. It hadn't explicitly been gore, but it was definitely borderline. Then why? Why had it seemed so graphic? Why had it seemed so realistic? Why was I imagining the stench of blood? Why was that stench so strong that it nearly made me choke? It's all in my head, so why did I feel sick to my stomach? I felt a sharp, throbbing pain in my forehead. The nausea wouldn't go away. I desperately reached for my mouse, but my trembling hand knocked it off the desk, leaving it dangling above the floor by its cord. I reeled it back up to the mousepad, and then, finally, closed the image. But just as I thought it was finally over, my eyes were struck by... Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh no. That's not good. Well. I glanced at the minimum attendance chart. In the end, I hadn't managed to catch the new Bloodtoon episode live. No big deal, though. Someone had upped it to YouTube after the fact, so I'd been able to just watch it there. Or upload. No. I still didn't feel any better, though. Those last words Shogun had left behind. It was almost as if he knew about God's gaze and how much it terrified me. It was way too specific for it to just be a coincidence. Maybe someone had leaked some info about me online. Maybe it was another ESO player with a grudge against Neidhart or something. Prodigies like me get a lot of love, so naturally they also get a lot of hate. Well, most haters out there were just jealous. You wouldn't see them around much, but every once in a while some child would try to start shit because he was jealous of Neidhart's strength and popularity. They weren't worth anyone's time. But we've gone off topic now. Anyway, yeah, that Shogun guy really got to me. Earlier I tried logging onto ESO to grind for a little while, but I just couldn't concentrate. And to make matters worse, of all days for this to happen.
最悪の日だ。
Oh. On top of everything else that had happened, I decided to go to school today. I seriously didn't want to go, but I didn't follow the minimum attendance chart to a T. My calculations would get completely thrown off. Worst case scenario, I'd even have to repeat the year. Aww. I stifled a yawn and started trudging off towards school. A trip that was about 10 minutes from my base on foot. As soon as I started walking, my mood sank even lower. My body grew heavy, and I found it strangely hard to breathe, causing me to break into an uncomfortable sweat. And this was what always happened on school days. Going to school is pure suffering. Why did I have to go through this? Groaning to myself with my eyes fixed on the pavement, I kept on walking. I turned to enter Shoto Park. The school was just past it. Over by the lake, an elderly couple were taking their morning stroll. Nearby, a businessman sat on a bench, reading the sports section of the newspaper. For a park on the outskirts of a bustling city like Shibuya, it was surprisingly calm. Definitely a great place to relax. I took a seat on another bench nearby. Before heading into school in the morning, I always came here to eat breakfast. I gazed out toward the peaceful pond. The water, surrounded by trees with off-color leaves, their hues slowly changing as autumn rolled in. As per usual, today's menu was just a cream bun that I'd picked up from the convenience store on the way here. It'd be enough to tide me over until later tonight. I always skipped lunch. Nobody wanted to eat lunch with an otaku freak like me, and there was no way in hell I'd eat alone when surrounded by people eating and chatting together. After washing down my breakfast with some cola, I began staring up at the sky absent-mindedly. No matter the season, the sky above Shibuya was always pretty bleak. My parents only lived a few train stations away, but there was still a clear difference between here and there. Don't get me wrong, I didn't especially mind the bleak sky, but I also couldn't really explain why. I glanced at my watch to check the time. I needed to get going or I'd be late. I had to avoid that outcome at all costs. I came to school two or three times a week, so I had to keep a low profile. To make it through school, I had to blend in, to become invisible like the air. The ideal school day was one where nothing happened, one where I didn't have to deal with any of my teachers or Dokkyun classmates. That was the ultimate goal I shot for, and it would continue to be until the day I'd finally graduate. This was Suime Private Academy, the school I went to. Apparently it had only been built around 10 years ago, so it didn't exactly have a rich history or anything like that. Since it still looked brand new, it had made a pretty good setting for high school TV shows. On top of that, the school uniforms had apparently been designed by some famous designer. A ton of shallow-ass girls enrolled just so that they could wear it. And while they called it a prep school, most students here didn't score much higher than the national average. Even more ironic, though, was that the school slogan was, "Here you'll be free," and yet the school rules were actually really strict. Then again, they never actually bothered enforcing those rules, so I guess the slogan wasn't really wrong in the end. I mean, I barely ever showed up, and I passed my classes just fine. Get away with that. Probably get away with anything. As I closed in on the school, I could hear the other students more and more clearly. I wasn't good at dealing with crowds, so I just kept my head low as I slipped through the gate. Nobody talked to me, nobody talked to me. I repeated those words in my head like a mantra. My younger sister also attended this school, so she still lived with my parents. I knew her and any perfectly fine day could turn into a nightmare. Luckily, I hadn't run into her this time. Made it to class safe and sound. I rushed over to my seat, being extra careful not to make eye contact with anyone. I could feel a nearby group of girls shoot a glance at me, but thankfully they went right back to chatting afterward. They all thought I was a freak, I was sure of it. Well, from my point of view, you 3D sluts are the real freaks here. Sheesh! If you think I'm a freak, then don't look at me. Just pretend like I'm not here. Don't acknowledge me at all. You'll just do that, then I won't bother you either. And I can go about my day in peace. That's why it always confuses me when I see Dokkyuns calling people freaks. I just don't get it. If you think they're such a freak, then why even bother talking to them? Stay in your corner and they'll stay in theirs. Regardless, I was just sitting there, looking down at my desk when... Uh-oh.
Yo, Taku.
Uh-oh. Oh no. His day is ruined. Someone suddenly clapped me on the back. So I turned to look behind me.
お前、今日って学校来る日だっけ?
Oh.
三角くん。
Oh. It was Miss Daisuke, one of my classmates. He showed me a friendly smile from beside my desk. The guy was pretty handsome, so all the girls were into him. He was also into them, and dated them. A lot of them, usually multiple at a time. If you ask me, he was balls deep into Dokyun territory. If it were up to me, I'd steer clear of him, but...
相変わらず暗い顔してんな。ゲームのやりすぎで寝不足か？
How do you know that?
別に。
It was the only person in the class who was comfortable talking to me. Though we had absolutely nothing in common, so I had no idea why he bothered. I'd been suspicious about it ever since the school year began. If I were a girl, I could maybe understand, but since I was a guy, it made no sense to me.
引きこもりだからしゃあねえかもしんねえけどよ。もっとこうハキハキ答えろって。
I would if I could. Just the act of talking to another 3D human being was painful. Anxiety made it hard for me to speak naturally. My lack of experience made it hard for me to articulate things. And I was always afraid of being teased for saying something weird. That was why I always shrunk back. You have no idea how much pain I'm going through, so please don't talk like you know me. And also, I'm not good goddamn shut-in. Real shut-in stay in their rooms 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I'm not like that.
女相手に緊張するならともかく、そういう態度されると、俺らホモと思われるじゃねえか。
Wait, was he just seeing girls as a cover? Had he been into guys all along? I tried to back away from him, nearly falling out of my chair in the process. I grabbed onto my desk to catch myself.
何してんだ、お前。
What?
三角君はホモなの？なわけねえだろ。お前、俺の。
Bro.
女好きを忘れたのか？
There.
だよね。ビビった。
Ah!
ちなみに。
Isumi-kun took a quick look around, then lowered his voice and grinned from ear to ear.
昨日このクラスの女子で3人目を落とした。誰だか聞きたいか？いいよ、別に。だよ、もっと興味示せよ。田中だぜ。田中って誰？
Huh.
お前、もうすぐ10月だったのに、未だに同じクラスのやつの顔を覚えてねえのか。ま、3次元に興味ないんじゃ、それも当然か。
Visibly frustrated, he shrugged his shoulders and let out a sigh. Well, interestingly enough, he never insulted my taste in girls, which was, to put it simply, they had to be from the second dimension. But he never called me a freak for that. He just didn't bother with things that didn't interest him. That was what made me think he may not have been all that bad. That was also probably the reason why I didn't mind talking to him.
これでうちのクラスの可愛い女はほぼ攻略完了だ。そろそろ隣のクラスに守備範囲広げようかって思ってんだよ。
Okay, maybe he was pretty bad. If a girl ever heard some of the shit he said, she'd be horrified.
D 組によ、めったに学校来ねえけど、すごくいい女がいるらしいんだよ。なんか、そういうの、燃えねえか。あ、お前の場合は燃えるんじゃなくて、燃えだっけか。
Are you talking about 2D? That's not... whatever.
ま、お前の興味ねえ話はそろそろやめるか。じゃあよ、ニュージェネの話知ってるだろ。
I hadn't expected to hear those words come out of his mouth. And here I thought he was only capable of thinking about girls. Wow. I couldn't even picture him watching the news or reading the newspaper.
集団ダイブの事件さ。あれも噂によると殺人らしいぜ。マジだって書いてあったんだよ、スポ島に。
What? So his source was Sports Tokyo. What kind of racing he had all credibility? So, I'd already known about that rumor. Not that I cared.
で、聞いて驚け。その殺人鬼が女で、しかもかなり美人だって目撃証言があんだよ。
女。
Huh. Watching Misumi-kun get so excited, it finally hit me. Why did he suddenly care enough to read Sports Tokyo? The same reason he cared about anything else. Something to do with girls. What a twist. I guess Misumi-kun wouldn't even go after serial killers as long as they were cute. I mean, if it were me, I'd take a cute, cutie serial killer, but Misumi-kun stared longingly at the blue sky outside the window. Then, for some reason, his face suddenly lit up as if he'd reached enlightenment itself.
どんなやつなんだろうな、犯人って。本当に美人なのかな。会ってみて。
And this dude definitely thought exclusively with the wrong head.
俺だけは殺されねえ自信があんだよな。だってほら、俺ってかっこいいだろ。いくら連続殺人鬼でも俺みたいないい男に会ったらコロッと惚れちゃうぜ。
And that's why she wouldn't kill you. This guy was so delusional that he gave me a run for my money. The fact that he was able to say all that without even a hint of irony was honestly pretty gross.
僕は興味ないから。
でもよ、興味ないっつったって犯人は絶対この辺うろうろしてんだぞ。どっかですれ違ってたりするかもしんねえし。
Aww. Ah, well, for all I know, you could be the murderer. Okay, probably not. But it was entirely possible the killer could be one of the students at this very school. If that turned out to be true, maybe I ought to use my PTSD as an excuse to come in less often without hurting my attendance. Aww.
Na, 今日俺と一緒に殺人現場見に行かね。ここから歩いて行けんだってよ。まだ血とか残ってるらしいぞ。
And absolutely zero interest in doing that. I just want to get through school in peace, go home, greet Saratan, and get back to being worshipped like a god in base lard.
もう小橋と長谷川は見に行ったって言ってたしよ。
本当に興味ないんだ。
What? What? Ah, shit. Huh. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see here. Ah. Skip all delusions. In hospital questionnaire, check all boxes. Ah. Okay, first playthrough. Only one round is available, apparently. Felt bad about turning Misumi-kun down, since he seemed so excited about it, but I really did not want to go. But even though I was trying my hardest to refuse, he just wasn't listening.
そしたら犯人とばったり会っちゃったりしてな。犯人は犯行現場に戻ってくるってよく言うだろ。で、次はタクがターゲットにされるんだ。死をもって罪を償うみたいな。罪状はそうだな。 きこもってたからってことで。
Supposedly, I should just skip past everything. Basically, make no saves for this first playthrough, huh? That's fine. Alright. Hmm.
僕は引きこもりじゃ。
Paying some offense at Mitsubi-kun's choice of words, I almost snapped back at him. I quickly decided against it when I considered the possibility that he might get upset at me. So I just bit my lip and turned away. When I did, I noticed that there was something written on the blackboard. At first, I didn't really care enough to read what was written there. My mind only rested with the fact that something was written there, not what it was. But the longer I gazed at it, the more I realized something was wrong. Before I knew it, I was out of my chair.
ちょっとどいて。
おい、どうしたんだよ。
I pushed Mitsubi-kun aside and rushed over to the blackboard. The instant I realized what it said, I felt my heart stop. Whose eyes are those eyes? Whose eyes are those eyes? Those were the words I said to myself whenever I felt God's gaze. I've never said them out loud before. I hadn't told anyone about them either. Not even Mitsubi-kun. Didn't matter how often I used it. There was no way anyone in this class could know about that phrase. So who? Why? How? I quickly turned around and scanned the room. The only person paying any attention to me was Mitsubi-kun. The rest were talking to their friends, reading manga, despite manga being against the rules, or sleeping on their desks. Then who? Who had written it? When? I've been there the whole time, since before I even entered the classroom? I couldn't remember. It wasn't like I ever paid any attention to the blackboard anyway.
なあ、どうしたんだ。
Mitsubi-kun walked up to me, grabbed my shoulder, and gave me a good shake.
聞いてる？おーい、ターク。
It didn't matter who'd written it. It had to be a coincidence. It's just been a common phrase or something. It was just a stupid pointed scribble. Yeah, that had to be it. I tried to convince myself of that, but it was still freaking me out. I still had no clue who'd written it. I'd have to ask everyone in the class to figure that out. I didn't have anywhere near that kind of courage. And immediately after I thought that, homeroom began. My teacher came in the room. Her eyes immediately zeroed in on the words written on the board and said, "Quick, come on, who wrote this?" He grabbed the eraser and wiped them all away. For some reason, I was still a little creeped out, but I just tried to carry on like that always. Well, if I let myself get any more scared, I'd probably start thinking that someone was deliberately targeting me. That was ridiculous. It was just a coincidence. In the end, I had to keep telling myself that until school was over, and when it finally was, I headed toward my usual internet cafe. For an indoor person like me, At Cafe was the only hangout spot I enjoyed. Being at the center of Shibuya and all, there were plenty of 3D book unit women and office drones occupying it, but since the rooms were all private, that wasn't an issue. As for the room I was in, it was the one I always reserved, room 37, located way in the back. It was pretty inconvenient to get refills, but since very few people ever reserved rooms near the back, it was nice and quiet. Once or twice a week, I'd come in here on my way home from school to log on to my other ESO account. Nightheart was essentially a celebrity, so this was my way to just relax and enjoy the game. While I did love being treated like a hero all the time, it sure did take its toll. That's why I'd made another avatar. This one was a female character named Lizelot. Lizelot? 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 Whatever. I hadn't accomplished anything big with her. I mainly just made her to help Neidhart look even better by comparison. I played for about 3 hours below Sam's steam. I then had some fun messing around with my guildmates while talking about hardcore doujins and other random shit. Doujinshi. The Japanese term for self-published works, with the most popular being media associated with otaku, such as manga and light novels. They're most often sold at various conventions or online. While doujins can feature pornographic content, many do not. When used on online games, it refers to a particular group of players centered around a single leader. These groups are akin to small communities where users can chat and adventure together. Some guilds are so tight-knit that they organize offline meets in order to see each other in real life. The time I left the cafe, it was already around 9 p.m. There were even more Dokuns around at this time of night. They'd lie on the streets like they owned the place, stuffing their faces with greasy-ass hamburgers, as they let out the most disgusting laughter imaginable. And just looking at them made me want to puke. And what was especially bad? If you just so much as looked at them the wrong way, they'd immediately come and beat the shit out of you. Fucking savages. They weren't human. They were owls, not fit for civilized society. Just throw them in a slaughterhouse or something, seriously. I say that, but there was no way I could hope to ever stand up to them myself, so there's no point in trying. Regardless, it was time to get the hell out of Center Guy. Huh? Oh. On my way back from At Cafe, I always dropped by Mangadarake, which was pretty close by, or Anime, which was a bit further off. I decided to check out Anime today, so I headed toward the station's south exit. Down that path, there was an instant drop in the number of Dokuns. Meat man, Center Guy, was complete and utter chaos. Just walking through it brought me nothing but pain and suffering. I never set foot there again if I could help it. I wish the whole place would just get blown up to smithereens. Except at Cafe and Mangadarake, of course. Alright then, time to go browsing for some comics, doujins, or whatever else catches my eye. Oh yeah, that's right. The Bloodtoon Volume 5 DVD was coming out soon. Was it available for pre-order yet? If so, I definitely need to get one nailed down. Before I knew it, I found myself in an alleyway in Maruya Macho. The same alley I always took back home from Anime. I blinked a couple of times to make sure that I wasn't just seeing things. I took a look inside my bag. Nothing inside but the usual. Some textbooks and a handheld game system. I hadn't bought anything from Anime today. Strange. I'd never leave Anime empty-handed. Whatever. I let out a sigh and continued walking. Shouldn't take me more than 15 minutes to reach my base from here. I was only a short walk from the station, yet the dazzling neon lights and thick crowds had all but vanished. Oh shit. Better. Honestly, I think I've done plenty. I think I'll be ending it here. I should be seeing y'all next time then. Goodbye.